where they want to,
By the way, people
do better.
Talk about these four pillars.
Ransom Shield launch.
consider going.
Happy Monday, Ty.
Happy Monday, Shar. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm pumped up. I mean, like, gosh, I'm waiting for Monday to come so we can start hitting the road and just getting done, what we need to get done.
You're already on the road. Look at you.
Well, that's the thing. Everything stops, Thanksgiving, everything stops December. And so it's like, you gotta get out there now until that time.
Yep. People have to understand that we really only have 2 more months left. Like, when it like we can push as hard as we want. And I know, like, for accountants and stuff, the October month is their biggest month. But the reality is we're getting to that point where people are going to go into holiday mode and things are just going to slow down. So, yeah, we're putting in the reps right now. We're at the end of September. We really only have October and half of November left.
Exactly. And this is the perfect segue, guys. This is fourth quarter. And in your coaching business or in your entrepreneurship journey, if you're not considering to look at the last 9 months and say what has worked, what has sold, what are your customers coming to you for, I would advise you, Ty and I would both advise you to do that today so that you can make different decisions in what you're going to spend time on for Q4, as well as what you're going to launch in 2026.
The big multinational corporations do it, and they do it for a reason. It's a best practice. Like, this is your time to assess, okay, my first 9 are done. What am I doing for my last 4? This actually, August was the time for you to start that process, right? In business planning in September, you should have really had your idea for what you want to do in 26 done by now. And so then you look at your finances in October and you finalize your plan moving forward. You use the last 2 months to close out anything you didn't get to close out. But yeah, this is not time to kind of relax and take it easy or even do more of the same. This is time to kind of figure out, okay, how do we end the year and how do we end the year strong?
Exactly. And for many of you, this question has come up even when we did CoachCon this year. A lot of people are like, well, I want to be a coach for, women and I want to help them with this, but they weren't getting really specific. They weren't getting really targeted. And Ty, and I have seen that that's where a lot of chaos happens in businesses. That's where a lot of failure happens.
100%. People fail to plan, and then that, as a result, there's no plan to work. And when you fail to plan, you plan to fail, basically, because you have to understand exactly where you're coming from, where you're going to, what you're looking for, who you are, and the results you're going to achieve. And how you do that is really thinking intrinsically as to the value you want to provide, the transformation that you can achieve, and exactly the gap you want to close. We talked about this at CoachCon, the authenticity of you being able to say with confidence, I'm a coach who does this. I'm a coach who serves this market. I'm a coach who closes this gap. I'm a coach who serves this niche. And the more specific you are, it means the more thoughtful you are and the more time you've spent really honing that gap. Now, people believe in authenticity, and that authenticity comes from you having done work in that space, you having achieved a result in that space, you having actually gone through the reps, and now you're able to translate that into a system or a way to help somebody else do the very same thing. And if you've read a book about it, that authenticity will start showing. Like, that authenticity will start showing, because you don't have the depth of knowledge, you don't have the case studies, you don't have the background. But if you've lived it, you can actually rely on that, and you can share the story, and you can tell people exactly what you went through and how they can impact it or adjust it to their life or their situation.
Well, and guys, the niche is really where your customer wants to know you can solve their problem. A lot of people don't realize that when you're too vague, people have questions, which is a good marketing strategy because you want them to have questions. But if you don't have it curated so that it matches your sales pipeline or your sales structure, it really creates confusion where a customer doesn't buy or they don't even engage. Right, Ty?
And leaving it too open, Char. I mean, vague is good, but still vague needs to be targeted, because you don't want to say, I'm a coach who helps business people grow. Great. Everybody helps business people grow. But do you help startups get to their first product? Do you help people go from their 6 figures to 7 figures? Do you help systems? Do you help leaders develop and grow so that they can be better leaders? Like, what does that growth mean? And that's where you have to be hyper targeted and hyper focused, because if you leave it too broad, you're going to start getting questions that waste your time, that really don't help your funnel, because you're not serving that market, but you're fielding those questions because they didn't have clarity when you said what you did. So really niching down and understanding who you are and what you want to do, what transformation you want to achieve, what gap you want to close. It not only does the market, it gives the market a focus as to who you are and what you're doing, but it filters out the people who want to work with you or who are looking to work with you.
And guys, one of the next steps, and we'll talk about this as we share kind of case studies with you about, clients we've helped, is that a lot of times you don't even know what that looks like. And that's great. It's better to know that you don't know versus trying to figure it out. And then what I consider fall flat to the prospects, and then they just don't trust you anymore. And then you have a bigger problem. So it's okay not to know. We just don't want you to go out to the market with that and then burn.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, people will sense, if you don't know, people will figure that out fast. You can only bullshit for so long, and people will figure out, and you can answer the questions. Like, again, it's going back to reading a book and starting to teach from what you've learned in a book is not, it's not sustainable, right? Because especially as a coach, you may be able to do that for a speech or a presentation or a stage presentation, whatever. But when you're a coach and you have to spend time over and over with somebody going deep in their business, you can't do it just having read a book. You have to have it experienced and lived. And so when you don't know, that shows up really fast, and then you erode trust. And we know we live in an absence of trust economy right now. Like, a lot of people just have a hard time trusting what's there. They have a hard time trusting the information. Everything is highly suspect. And so the first thing you want to do when you're in the sales cycle is develop trust, right? And you want to build that trust and have that genuine authenticity to make that human connection. When you do that, then it doesn't matter what your product is, because they believe in you as a person. They trust that you can get them the result that you say you can get them, whatever that result is. And so you don't want to break that down by building all that trust up and then not being able to deliver later on.
Exactly. And guys, Ty and I are not a good example of a hyper niche, because where we are in our journey as entrepreneurs, we're through that. And now we are able to have different levels of business, multi-industry crossover, multi-industry experience. And so we learn very early on to hyper niche. And then when you master that, then you can go cross industries and multiple disciplinaries. So just understand that we are not a good example of that today. We just were able to master that to then bridge what we do today.
It's actually called the beachhead strategy, right? So you start very narrow, like, right, very, very narrow to what you, and then as you master that space, you grow and you grow and you grow, and you widen your offering, your services, your product, your knowledge, because you have the experience and you're going through the process of that growth, your individual growth and your practice growth while you're doing it. So you do the beachhead strategy. You start in small and niche, and then you grow into the spaces that you are starting to uncover and develop in.
I appreciate that. So I want to share a little bit of a story, Ty, that this happened. I was in the Business Insider magazine when Clubhouse came out. And guys, it was a tool that literally was kind of launching this idea of like communities and groups. And so I'm always an early adopter, which, Ty, you and I just love technology. I think that drives us. And I literally, guys, was probably one of the founding people in the communities. And I literally didn't know that someone was in my community who was from the Business Insider magazine. And I was featured there because we had made $35,000 in 1 month inside of the platform. And they were like, well, you're a coach. And I said, I get it. And they were like, so how are you able to do that so fast? I said, because I failed enough times to know what works. Even in technology, guys, one of the things that I found, and this was quoted in the Business Insider magazine, was that if you don't understand the foundation or have a foundation of what successful businesses look like, it doesn't matter what platform you use. If it doesn't matter any of that, because it means that you haven't mastered the fundamentals of what that looked like. And Ty, the reason why I think a lot of coaches fail is because they're trying to get hyper scaled and try to follow these like $10 million businesses. When I'm like, no, let's get back to the basics, because you can't even get to that next level unless you do that.
Yeah, everybody's interested in this. Like, I want to get to 7 figures. I want to get to I want to have this massive empire. It's going to happen in 4 months. It's not, right? The reality is like, if it takes the quickest way to get to your destination is slowly, right? And slowly means you're taking your time, you're learning, you're failing, you're fixing. But when you go too fast, too soon, what do you say? The higher what is it? The faster you climb, the higher you fall, or harder you fall, or something like that. Like, if you go too fast and you don't build that solid foundation, you're building yourself on quicksand, you're gonna fall. You have to take the time, and you can't want to be, oh, everybody's trying to break records. Everybody's trying to be like, oh, I got to 7 figures in my first 12 months. That's not, what does that do for you, right? Yes, you may have done that, but that's not the norm. That's not the process everybody goes through. It's an anomaly. You broke a record, so what? Right? You get to put it on your, like, did you build a solid business? Like, is that business going to be repeatable? Can you now tell somebody else how to do the very same thing? And then what does that do for them? Like, you have to ask yourself these questions. The reality is like, you want to build a sustainable business for the long term, if that's what you want to do. If you're in this thing for the long term as a coach, to build, a freedom of life, freedom of time, like a sustainable business that gives you money, like, you have to build a sustainable business for the long term, and not one that breaks records immediately, so you can have a, what do you call, self-fulfilling story to tell.
Exactly. And guys, sometimes your niche is going to evolve as you're learning this process, because Ty, I remember at CoachCon, one of the gals was like, well, my package is 5,000. And I'm like, well, that's great. So let's perfect 5,000, so that when you get to the 75 and maybe the 10, that you have the confidence in your solution and fulfillment, so that it's easier to have that conversation to sell at 75 and $10,000.
Yeah, we teach people, on a regular basis. You know how you increase your price? By having a win. You start, you get in there, you set a reasonable price to get enough results, and show the market that you have a proof of concept and you have a repeatable product. So whatever your skill is, whatever your gap you're closing, you've gotten results. Now you can say, okay, these 3 people scored or got the intended outcome. Now my price is this. And then 3 more people get my intended outcome. My price is this. And then you go up in price. You master, as Charlene said, you master the product and service you're offering now. You show that you can have results because it's repeatable and scalable. And then you do it, you increase your price and you do it again. And that's how you slowly build a solid foundation over time. And then you settle yourself at a nice, reasonable price, where you're taking on fewer clients at a higher price point, making the money you need to make, and having a comfortable life.
And your proof, guys, the results that drive a lot of your marketing, and maybe what I consider reviews from your clients, is going to help validate that price. Because a lot of you guys worry about the price so much that I'm like, it's not a you problem, it's a them. If they can't purchase that product, has nothing to do with you. Your job is just to get out there, invite them, share with them, and get more visible with everybody. And the job of them is to actually go find the money.
And this goes back to what we just talked about, Char, with the whole trust economy, right? Right now we're in a very failed trust economy, and so people will question, right? They have 72 coaches, right? Listen, the reality is that the content exists. Everybody can chat GPT the content. Everyone can read a book about the content. The content exists. People choose a coach based on that personality, that resonance, that confidence, that chemistry between them and that other person, and their belief and trust that that person can get them to the destination that they say they can get them to. So your job becomes to build that trust, right? To make sure that you can demonstrate the credibility, you can demonstrate the results, you have the conviction in what you're offering, and that you can impart or at least share with them that you actually can do what you say you can do. That's your job as the coach in that sales cycle process. And like Charlene said, their job is then to believe you and find the money. But not everybody's going to be your client. Not everybody's going to resonate with you. Not everybody's going to speak your language or take on what the presence that you're offering them. So you're not trying to win everyone. You're trying to win your client, who you want to spend time with on a regular basis, to do the work you want to do with them to achieve the results you want to achieve. Right? There's 8 billion people on the planet. You don't need every single person that clicks into your funnel or that joins your live. You don't need every single one of those. What you do need is you need to make sure that the ones you do select, there is simpatico, there's a connection, and you believe you can get them the results that they're looking for.
Exactly. The word no is going to work really well, guys, as you figure out how to, niche down and get really clear on where you want to go, how you want to grow in 2025, 2026. And more importantly, we want you to know that a lot of these things are by failure. This is not because you know everything. It's to work with coaches who know where you are and where you want to go. But the sooner you fail, the sooner you can ask a better question, the faster it's going to be for you to get where you want to go.
Also, that's also how you find your niche too, right? That's how you say, okay, I didn't really enjoy this part of the process, so I'm gonna even niche down even more. Or maybe I was too broad, or maybe I misspoke, or maybe my copy wasn't good enough, or maybe my copy misled. Whatever your process is, failure, as Charlene is saying, is failure is the thing that's going to get you kind of more refined until you're in that perfect spot. You're in that sweet spot to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm going to sit here for a minute. I'm going to get some results, and then I'm going to potentially expand into more areas.
Yes, exactly. And Ty, as we wrap up, one of the things that has always been the best part of this hyper niche is that your clients are going to be happier because they know that they have one result to measure you by, one result that they're going to measure their own success in. And that's how you create a partnership between you and your clients, is because they're looking for that one thing that says, this is what I bought those services for. This is what I got from it. And this is the result that I ended up getting, whether it was 30, 60, 90 days from now.
Say what you're going to do it for them, and then say that you've done it. That's it. That's it. The simple formula. So, people ask, and the inherent part of that, Shar, is that the expectations have to be aligned, right? You can't go and say, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do better marketing. And then your client believes they're going to get more clients. Two mismatches there, right? Better marketing doesn't mean more clients. Better marketing could mean better branding. It could mean better visuals. It could be a greater presence in the market. It could be greater audience building. Doesn't necessarily mean more conversions. And so making sure that you and the client are level set, that this is the expectation. This is what I'm going to do for you. Are we doing it? This is what we've done. And that's where you're going to make sure that the result that they're going to report for you, the result that you're going to report and tell everybody about, the result that they're going to share as a testimonial is the same thing that you asked for.
Exactly. Ty, thank you again. And every single week, Ty, you just have brought in the leadership, the experience, and the depth. And the fact that Coach Con has launched this vision of yours that you've had has now happened and blessed so many lives. Hundreds and hundreds of people are working alongside with attending Coach Con in the next series, as well as those people who came this time, just blown away by the content and the coaches that you brought together.
Yeah, no, we're excited. We're upcoming Coach Con is already set. We are going to start filling out the speakers for this. We are really, really excited, and we have a lot to offer you in January. So CoachCon.global, January 20th to the 22nd. It's already up and running. Just register early, and we will see you there.
Perfect. Thanks again, Ty. And guys, remember, reach out to us and connect with us on LinkedIn if you have questions. But wellness is an important part of the entrepreneurship journey. Just understand, if you don't have your health, you don't have the wealth, because both need each other.
100%.
Take care, Ty.
Thanks, Shar.